love for all creatures. Life in the plan of creation and of the soul. The conversion of the bird catcher. From the Gospel of the Holy 12. 1. And as Jesus was going to Jericho, he met a man with young doves and a cage full of birds that he had caught. And he saw their sorrow because they had lost their freedom and, in addition, they were suffering from hunger and thirst. 2. And he said to the man, "What are you doing with these?" And the man answered, "I make my living by selling the birds I have caught." 3. And Jesus said to him, "What do you think if someone stronger or smarter than you were to capture and tie you up, or were to throw your wife or your children and you into prison to sell you for his own gain and make a living out of it?" 4. Are these not your fellow creatures, merely weaker than you? And does not the same God, Father and Mother, care for them as well as for you? Leave these your little brothers and sisters in freedom, and see that you never do this again, but that you honestly earn your bread. 5. And the man was amazed at these words and his authority, and released the birds. When the birds came out, they flew to Jesus, sat on his shoulders and sang to him. 6. And the man continued to ask about his teaching, and he went his way and learned to weave baskets. Through his work he earned his bread and broke his cages and traps and became a disciple of Jesus. Notes. This story reveals a profound truth. Jesus shows us his love not only for people, but also for animals. They are our fellow creatures, they have feelings, a soul and their own place in God's creation. Jesus had the extraordinary ability to sense and perceive how animals are doing. Do you also have this gift? At least my daughter also gives the impression of understanding the language of animals. Animals instinctively act according to divine laws. In particular, people-forming animals such as bees, ants or termites teach us important principles: cooperation, community spirit and the balance between the individual and the community. In their realm, there is no selfishness, no greed, but a harmonious togetherness in which everyone contributes to the whole. Good communication. Perhaps our society reflects a lack of this attitude. We often live in competition with each other, in a system that favors selfishness and overreaching. But wouldn't it be beneficial to take the bees as an example? They don't work for themselves, but for the community, and yet no one misses out. The way Jesus speaks to the bird catcher is striking. He does not reproach him, does not look down on him, but asks questions that touch the heart. He guides the man to self-knowledge at eye level. That is true communication, not instructive or judgmental, but loving and clear. We can also apply this approach in our conversations, especially when we want to convince others of a better way. How often do people react with resistance to direct criticism? But when we ask questions that encourage reflection, a true inner rethinking can take place, as it did with this man. Living at the expense of others, or in harmony with our destiny. Jesus makes us aware that all creatures are of divine origin. If God cares for them, then He also cares for us. We can trust that we will receive everything we truly need if we walk our path in harmony with creation. Yet many people live at the expense of others, be it humans or animals. The message of this story is clear. Only when we recognize our true talents and develop them with love and devotion do we experience true joy and fulfillment. The bird trapper not only released his birds, he also freed himself. Through his encounter with Jesus, he found a new purpose, an honest way of life, and a connection to God. gratitude and joy in response to divine activity. When the birds were set free, they did not remain indifferent. They came to Jesus, sat on his shoulders, and sang to him full of gratitude. And what about us? How often do we recognize God's work in our lives and give thanks for it? Let us dwell in this attitude of gratitude, rejoicing that God cares for us when we live in love and truth. The true law and the responsibility of knowledge. 7. And Jesus saw a man working on the Sabbath, and said to him, Man, if you know what you are doing, blessed be, for you do not break the law in spirit. But if you do not know, then you are a transgressor of the law and walk in error. 8. And again, Jesus said to his disciples, What shall be done with those servants who know the will of their Lord and yet do not prepare for his coming and do not act according to his will? 9. Truly I say to you, whoever knows his master's will and does not get ready or does not do what his master wants will be beaten with many blows. But whoever does not know his master's will and does not do what his master wants will be beaten with fewer blows. For from the one to whom much has been given, much will be demanded, and from the one to whom little has been given, only a little will be demanded. What does this mean for us? Is Jesus encouraging us to think about the consequences of our actions? In this case, it could be about the trouble with the law, because working on the Sabbath was forbidden. But Jesus's words point to a deeper truth. There is a difference between external law and inner understanding. Those who consciously act according to the Spirit of God are free from blind obedience to man-made rules. But those who ignorantly violate the true order miss the point. It is not about being a verbal Christian, someone who only believes with words, but about living the Christian life in real terms. A person of faith knows the message. And anyone who knows it is also responsible for putting it into practice in their lives. Not out of compulsion, but out of gratitude. The joy of the heart then shows us that we are on the right path. Potential and responsibility, the parable of the talents. Jesus speaks here in clear terms about those who do not live their talents. Every person has a calling, a gift, a task. It is not about overburdening ourselves, but about developing what we have been given. The parable of the talents even says, those who do not use their talents will have them taken away. This applies not only to personal abilities, but also to social rights and duties. If we do not claim our civil rights, they will be taken from us. If we don't use the opportunities in our work to make a positive change, we fall short of our potential. If we deny our true being, we lose ourselves. But when we live our talents, we are in union with God and His plan of creation. And what is the consequence? Oh, what joy! A deep serenity spreads. We no longer have to search for happiness at seminars or wait for someone to tell us what to do. Happiness is given to us when we live our true being. Then we will no longer be copies of others, but the original that we have always been in God's eyes. Summary of the message. 1. True law is not blindly following rules, but living in divine consciousness. 2. Those who know the truth bear the responsibility to live it. 3. Those who do not use their gifts lose them. Those who live them experience true joy. 4. Happiness is not a goal that we have to work for. It is the natural state when we follow